you doing, step bro?
Earth has suffered a great deal from recurring disasters that have repeatedly put a strain on people's lives. Disaster is a sudden, calamitous event that seriously disrupts the functioning of a community or society, causes human, material, and economic or environmental losses that exceeds of the community's or society's ability to cope up using its own resources. Disasters are mainly of two types. They are natural disasters and man-made disasters. A natural disaster is an unforeseen occurrence of an event that causes harm to society. There are many natural disasters that damage the environment and the people living in it. Some of them are earthquakes, cyclones, floods, tsunamis, or landslides, volcanic eruption, and avalanches. While a man-made disaster is caused by human action or inaction, like war, chemical leaks, and bomb blast. Millions of people are affected by disasters every year, and the impact can be dreadful. The range of effect of disasters on a community can be described across the social built, economic, and natural environments. One of the countries that is very prone to disaster is the Philippines. It is said that the Philippines is one of the storm-exposed countries in the world, with an average of 18 to 20 tropical storms that enter each year. Also, the Philippines is situated on the Pacific Ring of Fire, making it to have several active volcanoes that periodically threaten lives. One of the major disasters that hit the Philippines is Typhoon Yolanda, with its international name of Haiyan in 2013. Let's watch a short video about Typhoon.
As the clean-up operation gets underway, footage has been released of the moment Typhoon Haiyan roared into Samar Island in the Philippines. The video, filmed by charity worker Nixon Gensis, shows the storm surge completely wash away a house, while he, along with 5 others, took refuge on the top floor of a building. In another instance, an area of barren land can be seen being inundated with water in less than 30 seconds, while 170-mile-an-hour winds bore down on trees and houses. While much of the boarding house he was in was flooded and destroyed, Gensis survived the onslaught and was delivering aid to survivors after the winds subsided. The Philippines faces an enormous rebuilding task from the typhoon, which has so far killed nearly 4,000 people and displaced around 4 million.
It affected 16 million people in 14 provinces, with 6,293 lives have lost. Government initial estimates of damage and losses was at 571.1 billion pesos, with the private sector bearing around 80% of this. However, it is possible that the Philippines can experience worse disaster than Typhoon Yolanda. For instance, if the track of Typhoon Haiyan traversed Metro Manila instead, the damages and losses would have been 2.5 times greater. Another natural disaster occurred here in the Philippines is the Mount Pinatubo, eruption after many centuries of its dormancy. On June 1991, it damaged houses and buildings and even reached other parts of the world, such as Indian Ocean. The total cost of damage of this eruption is around $443 million. On the contrary, one of the man-made disasters that took place here in the Philippines is the Marawi Siege, which was a 5-month-long armed conflict happened in Marawi, Lanao del Sur. It started on May 2017 between the Philippine government security forces and the militants affiliated with the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, or ISIL, including the Mountain Abu Sayyaf groups, and was recognized as the longest urban battle in the modern history of the Philippines. Another example of man-made disaster that occurred here in the Philippines is the collision of a Philippine fishing boat and a Chinese fishing vessel near the Recto Bank in West Philippine Sea on June 2019. The Philippine fishing boat with 22 fishermen sank because of the said collision. The crew of the Chinese fishing vessel didn't even bother to help the fishermen and abandoned them. Instead, later that day, the stricken vessel's crew were rescued by a Vietnamese fishing vessel. Natural or man-made, either of the two, we are not aware what might happen in the succeeding decades, years, months, weeks, days, or even minutes. All we can do now as humans is to be prepared for whatever disaster that might occur and try out the best to do something for the betterment of the world, especially ourselves and the people around us.
Panda. I got broads in Atlanta. Just to throw me in the family. Credit cards and the scammers. Getting no licks in the band. Legacies.